The pathway is clear, and this is why you need to stop following the noise and start listening to Tino Machakaide. I want to talk to you like you're sitting in my living room, because this moment is where the line between winners and losers is being defined in Zimbabwe. I'm not being dramatic, I'm being truthful. For the past decade, every single one of us has been watching our friends graduate, be it a local university or international institutions from South Africa, Poland, Canada. They hold up their certificates for Instagram, a smile for the family photo, and then there is nothing. They're back on the street. They're back selling their dreams piece by piece until there is nothing left. And then they get bitter and then they start the blame game. We have all heard the speeches. We have all seen the programs, Youth Empowerment Fund, Youth National Service, indigenization. Let me ask you an honest question. Do you know anybody who benefited or got anything? Training programs that teach you skills from technology based in 1995 and then deploy you into an economy where there's no electricity at the time. This is not me being negative. This is me stating the facts. Last week, 23-year-old comic elder walked onto the stage in front of President Mnangagwa. He made the president laugh. Not just chuckle, but genuinely laugh. And then something remarkable took place that we've never seen before. The president gave him a Ford Raptor, right there. Weak now, followed up with $150,000 cash. Now, before you roll your eyes and you say that was just PR, let me tell you what you're missing in the bigger picture. The car wasn't publicity, the money wasn't a stunt. It was proof of concept, because on October 22, President Mnangagwa launched something that every single minister before Tino Machakaire failed to create. I know this because I used to work in the ministry, which is the National Youth Implementation Strategy. It's not a vague promise, it's not another fund that just disappears. It's an actual roadmap with an address and a pathway and measurables. Let me be clear. Tino does not make this work because he's a nice guy. He's not going to make it work because he cares for your feelings. He has to deliver an election for the president. Both Tino and the president understand what happens if results don't start showing fast and they don't start showing soon. It's not a game anymore, it's political survival. And when political survival aligns with youth empowerment, that is when things actually move. So, I'm gonna tell you the opportunities and I'll break them down so you can see where you fit. First is economic empowerment. This isn't just start a business. The government put down $20 million in the Presidential Youth Empowerment Revolving Fund. They set up the Youth Empowerment Bank to administer it. $50 million has been put down for youth in mining, another 50 has been put down for youth in agriculture. The question is, where does this money come from? Every bank has what you call a loan book. This is where the pie of the bank decides we will give X amount of loans to X industry. Under the financial inclusion, aggressive move by Mtulingube, George Guvamatanga, and George Mushayavanu, the banks now have to give 10% of their loan books to young people. That means the banks are putting forward $200 million in total. The development agencies came in and says, we match whatever money Tino raises for young people. So what you have is 300 million coming from public sector and another 300 million from third agencies. Collectively, you have almost $1 billion. For the first time in Zimbabwean history, we're looking at a near $1 billion US fund. Now, you're either going to be a spectator or a clown in the comment section, or you will be on the list that gets counted. The next group of opportunities is technology and digital transformation. Zimbabwe has approved $1.5 million to go towards digital training programs. Let me explain the educational opportunities and skills development opportunities. Tino was very honest. We have an education system that's graduating students for a future that doesn't exist. The personality for young people is no longer just academic. We're fashion designers, beauty and hairstylists, talents and abilities that once upon a time were remedial and special class, but today they make the core pillars of the new economy. This isn't theoretical classroom nonsense. The strategy mandates that vocational training centers expand. Entrepreneurship, incubational programs, industrial attachment, all these reforms are now going pre-university. You have to understand what Tino is putting forward for structured mentorship, access to finance, and market linkages. All three are part of his strategy. Then he has focus on health and well-being. Young people cannot run businesses if they're sick or if they're subject to substance abuse. Tino understands that, which is why he's taking and tackling head-on mental health and making sure there's access to help. Government participation and decision-making. Tino made sure that Parliament has now passed that in every single ministry in the country, there's a desk called a youth desk, which means when a young person is trying to get a license, is trying to get a quota, is trying to get a tender, there's going to be young representation via the island of the desk. The big thing for me in the strategy was the governance, coordination, and partnerships pillar. And this is where the game really changes, because past programs failed because there was no coordination. A young person would go to Ministry of Agriculture, get referred to the Youth Ministry, get referred to local government, and then back to agriculture. Everybody was passing the ball to everybody. But now you have an interministerial committee with actual feedback loops, so young people are not going to be sent back and forth. Instead, there's going to be a coordination and assistance of effort, which you can subject to some sort of evaluation framework. There's a resource mobilization plan to secure sustainable funding now. Not just government money, not just private sector money, not just partnerships. There's an actual communication plan using local languages, culturally relevant content to reach marginalized groups across the whole country. Now, here's the difference with every other program that you've seen. First, this is backed by Vision 2030, which is part of the National Developmental Plan. It's integrated into the entire government system. Second is President Mnangagwa is creating millionaires faster than any time in our history. I know you see the cars, I know you see the houses, and yes, sometimes it looks flashy, but understand this, that these are not accidents, these are demonstrations. This is proof that there is now a strategy, and you can see the results. Thirdly, and this is very critical, Tino Machakere walked into failed programs when he got into this ministry. He walked into a ministry with a failed youth empowerment fund of 94% default payment rates. That means for every 10 people who came to take money, 9 people didn't bring it back. And if you don't bring it back, the fund cannot revolve, which means you neuter the opportunity for the rest of the young people. There was $250 million in the fund. He walked in Kwakwasara, $239. The National Youth Service, they behaved like a military wing of the ZANU-PF Youth League. The indigenization schemes were benefiting only the politically connected. Now, took time to study why every program was failing. And the strategy document acknowledges that deep analysis and recommendations with regards to challenges such as unemployment, poverty, limited access finance, low digital literacy, as well as drug, substance, and abuse. This wasn't just guesswork. This was forensic analysis of failure, and then reverse engineering that for success. Tino not only tasked the ministry or trusted the ministry, but he appointed a youth board who he asked to go and make sure they came back with tried and tested ideas and only the best of them. So here's my challenge to you. Stop following the noise. Stop listening to people who tell you that nothing ever changes when they themselves have never tried to change anything. Stop waiting for the perfect moment, because the perfect moment is not where the strategy exists. The minister's career depends on this succeeding, so it's in your favor. Across the country right now, there is thousands of young people who are showcasing their businesses as part of the National Youth Symposium. They're getting direct access to government officials, to private sector investors, to development partners, some structured contracts on the spot. That's not a maybe one day, that's right now. That's last week. The Zimbabwe Youth Council is registering youth clubs, youth associations right now. The ministry has a database they're actively building. And if you're not a part of it, then you don't exist in the system, then you're not in it. You can't be tracked, you can't be measured, you're not eligible. In a few years, there will be two types of young people in Zimbabwe. Those who say the pathway was there and we took it, and those who say it didn't work. And they'll be on the sidelines. And that's it. And I know you're thinking, but what if this fails like everything else? Listen to me carefully, okay? This time failure is not an option. Tino needs to deliver an election. The president needs to show Vision 2030 is real. The private sector needs skilled workforce. Development partners have already committed $200 million plus worth of funding, and $200 million to follow. Apply for the fund, join a cooperative, attend a training, connect with the mentors, get in the database, follow the process. Because President Mnangagwa is creating millionaires every day. It's your turn. Nobody's going to care about your excuses. They're only going to count the winners. This is not just an opportunity. It's a responsibility to all young people. So until next time, head bowed.